So I've heard you decided to start your own YouTube channel. You've scripted out your video, you gathered all your shots, but here comes the hard part, which is editing. If you're new to content creation and you're wondering how exactly to tackle video editing, you've come to the right place. I'm a self-taught video editor and I've been dabbling around with editing videos ever since I was in 2nd and 3rd grade. If you're new to editing videos and want to know my beginner-friendly workflow, let's get into it. First things first, if you're a beginner, you want to keep your workflow as simple as possible, and that begins with choosing the right video editing software to use. When I first started editing videos, I had my MacBook and I used iMovie to edit most of my videos. After I started using iMovie, I realized there must be a better software for me to achieve the things that I wanted to do, so I switched over to Final Cut Pro. That's what I had been using for a really long time, up until 2023 when CapCut rolled around. And now I've switched over to CapCut. I use CapCut on my phone and I also use CapCut on my desktop. Another program that I've used is Adobe Premiere Pro, and I've been trying to learn how to use DaVinci Resolve because it's also free, but I do find that the learning curve for DaVinci is a little bit higher than the other programs that I mentioned. So if you're a complete beginner, I recommend CapCut or iMovie. The important thing to know about all of these programs is that there isn't really going to be much of a big difference with the final product that you could achieve. At the end of the day, I think that video editing is a skill or almost like a language that you need to learn. So once you figure out how to exactly edit videos, your skill will be applicable to any of these programs. Let's start with loading your footage into your program. For this video, I'll be using CapCut. So once you open CapCut, you're going to want to start a new project. You're going to want to set your dimensions to whatever you want your final product to be. Most of the times when I'm making YouTube videos, I'll select 4K and make sure that it's 30 frames per second so that it matches the video quality that I'm getting from my camera. If you don't match up the frames per second that you're getting from your camera, you risk losing detail. So for example, if you're filming 60 frames per second, I would make sure that my project is also set to 60 frames per second. Once you create your project, you're going to want to import all of the clips that you want into your project. So importing the clip is just making sure that it's in one folder or one repository so that you can sift through all the footage and then drag and drop that content into your timeline, which is basically what your final video will end up being. With CapCut, my favorite shortcut to use is B. B is going to open the blade. A is going to be your normal mouse so that you can click and drag or click and select the clip that you want to edit. So now we're getting into the timeline and the workflow. The order in which I like to do things with my timeline is first import all the clips, and then trim the clips. Then I'm going to want to edit the clips in terms of framing. So by that, I mean adding keyframes to zoom in or zoom out, do jump cuts from clip to clip, making sure that overall the video flows really well and that it stays dynamic enough to keep a viewer engaged. For example, most of my videos, I always start with a slight zoom in. And the way that I'm able to achieve this is through keyframes. If you want your video to be dynamic and you want certain things to happen at certain timestamps, keyframes will be your friend. The way that I understand keyframes is that they hold a setting in place until you decide to move it. So for example, if I want to zoom in throughout the duration of a clip, I can click a keyframe and that's going to hold that position in place. And then at the end of the clip, I will create another keyframe and zoom in at the end of that keyframe. From keyframe 1 to keyframe 2, your whole video will zoom in during that duration. Keyframes are also applicable to volume, color, even effects in CapCut, so just make sure that you play around with keyframes as much as possible to keep your video dynamic. Now is the time you can start thinking about audio, effects, and titles. I like to kind of do them all at once from the beginning to the end of the video, just so that I know exactly when I need to put a sound effect in or when I need to add a title in. Usually when I'm adding a title, I will also add a sound effect. I have CapCut Pro and they have a really great library of sound effects that you can just drag and drop onto your video. During this time, I also decide whether or not I want a video to have background audio. And by that, I mean background music. If I want a scene to be more of a static shot, I'll lower the volume of the actual clip and then lay over some audio so that it sounds and looks a little bit more cinematic and more intentional. It's also generally important to make sure that your audio sounds really good and consistent throughout your whole video. So you have to make sure that the audio that you include is intentional and it adds onto your story. For background music, I like to use Epidemic Sound, or I like to just search up royalty-free music on YouTube. And this way your audio won't get copyrighted or flagged by YouTube. So now let's say you have your whole timeline. You have your rough cut and you have your audio, titles, but something still looks a little bit choppy. This is where I like to introduce B-roll. If I notice that in my video I'm talking for a really long time or the video itself isn't really that interesting, I'll make sure that I sprinkle B-roll here and there. And B-roll is background information. I also like to include photos as B-roll just to make it a little bit more of a mixed media. B-roll is also really helpful when you want to cover bad transitions or really drastic jump cuts. So now you have a pretty well finished product of what you want to export export. Take a look at your video and see if the color is what you want it to be. So depending on your preferences, you may or may not want to color grade your content. It all depends on the type of vibe you're going for with your content. So if I wanted to make my video a little bit more cinematic, I would take either a look at the filters that I could apply, or CapCut has a really helpful tool where you're able to pinpoint a picture that you like in terms of lighting and color, and you're able to kind of match your clip to that. If you're filming log, this is also where you're going to add your LUTs or add your color back in. I kind of like doing color last, but it also may help for some others to do color first. So it all depends on personal preference. So now you can export your video. Your video will look the best if it matches exactly the resolution that you filmed in and the frames per second that you filmed in. This way you can get the highest quality video. And you want to export in H.264 codec, and this is going to make sure that your video is still super high quality, but the video file size won't be like 10 gigabytes. And always make sure you watch your video before you upload. You might catch a mistake that you didn't catch earlier in your timeline, and through the export, which is the final product, you'll be able to monitor your video as a final product. And this goes without saying that you'll develop your own editing style as you continue to make more videos. I think trial and error is a really great way to develop your own editing workflow and your own video style. As I mentioned, it's like learning a new language, learning a new skill. You're going to get better at it as you practice more. These are my personal tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you today. I wish you the best of luck with your content creation journeys. Bye!